And with the exception of the bass, which is really earthy and sounds like he's digging for lugworms, the rest of it could easily be something. You're going to hate me saying this, but this could easily be something from U2's mid-80s back catalogue.
No, I'm not going to
Where the
hate that. That
drums,
was, but I liked them. So,
yeah, same here, same here. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles, you bastard. My name's John, his name's Andy. We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind because your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. More of that later. But first, we have a track to listen to, selected by Brother Andy. Andy, what have you got?
we're going to be revisiting a band that I introduced to you in the latter part of last year. And that band is Circa Survive. We are going to be checking out the last one was sort of a live studio. This is going to be truly a live performance of them on tour. I believe this is when they were touring Australia. If I'm not mistaken, this is the Sydney leg of that tour. But it is a live performance of their track. The difference between medicine and poison is in the dose. So that's the name of the track. It's a bit of a lengthy one, at least in title letters, not in actual time. But yeah, go off, give that one a spin and a watch, and come back and let me know your thoughts.
Okay. This is our similar tag. Yeah, really nice start. I like that sort of start with the drums being very athletic, and you get a bit of feedback, and then sort of single note bothering, where you wonder if that's a note or the feedback, and they kind of mix and come to a bit, and then in comes the band. Sounds really nice. Do you know what it does sound like? It's that sort of mixture, that sort of alt indie rock, alt rock, post rocky, post whatever sound that's nice. It's not that far divorced from something from U2's mid-80s back catalogue. I know some people will hate me saying that, but I mean it as a compliment. There's a bit of the edge to that lead guitar sound over the top of the other guitar. Sounds great. Okay, so we've had your man coming in, King of the Gunners. Yeah, I don't really connect with his voice. I mean, it's a good voice, obviously, it's very decent, but it doesn't sort of connect with me. Um, I think I struggle to listen to more than a couple of songs with his voice in. It's a bit like, and it's no shade on that, it's just it's a bit like sort of Jimmy Somerville. He's got a really amazing voice, but I could only listen to like a couple of songs. That would be enough for me. Um, and he's like that, and I'm not really connecting with his voice. And there's people with much worse voices than him that I probably do connect with easier. I guess it's the range and that as well. So I'm not really making out much of the lyrics, but the music's really nice. It does have that sort of um, old indie sort of sound. It's really nice with the two guitars. The bass player's doing a great job. It sounds really earthy, and almost agricultural, like he's digging for something. Um, and then we come to this sort of like nice chorus bit, and the drummers really sort of knocking it shape into it. And when you come out of it, you get a bit more. I say towards like the post-hardcore label, which has been put on them, and then really nice sort of groove to that coming out of it. So yeah, the music's I'm really enjoying. I don't want to like shade, as I say, throw shade on his voice. It's just it's not doing it for me. There's nothing terrible about it. It's eminently listenable, but it doesn't quite do it for me. There you go. Do you know what? For a minute, I forgot they were live. Obviously, they're there in front of you as well. But so a really good performance. I was entranced by the guitars, I have to say. Um, there were bits of that when that song flowed into the chorus, whatever. It seemed like they were building platforms of like an emotional platforms as his voice was soaring and going different ways. And um, yeah, we've had this before with on the channel with twin guitarists sort of intertwining, and it wasn't that. It was very much like a lead and a rhythm guitar, but the rhythm did some lead for a bit towards the sort of three-quarter mark towards the end. But it just sounded great. It really did. Um, and one of them was doing the legwork, so the other one could do the fancy stuff, and then vice versa. Drum sounded great, and so did the bass. I really enjoyed this. I'll need to listen to this again once. There's a bit more to it musically, but I think I just didn't connect with his voice, so it lacked the sort of oomph for me. There's no doubt he has got a really good and unique voice. I think fans of this will flock to it, but it just didn't quite connect with me. It didn't so much on the first one, but I was impressed by it. Now having heard it before, I'm still impressed by it, but and I admire it, but it doesn't make me want to listen to it. That's the difference, I guess. And I was wondering, like, what this would sound like if there was a different vocalist. Going for extreme, like someone like Nick Cave singing over the top of this, or or even you know, Bono, or something like that. It would have a very different feel to it. Um, but they create a great atmosphere with the music. So hats off to them for that. I need to find out a bit more about this. I suppose with the title being what it is, it would probably to do with drugs and addiction. Um, but I got very little of the words, to be fair. Um, so let's find out some more. Let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, so you're back from the apothecary. What did you make of the difference between medicine and poison is in the dose by Circa Survive, John?
Interesting title. Yeah, so I was trying to think of Circa Survive because I remember the name, but I couldn't remember which episode it was.
Uh-huh.
And then we see them. King of the Gurns returns. Yes. Um, so it starts with some what I call scene shifting drums. It's kind of that busy drumming that sounds like a set of stagehands moving the backgrounds around the stage.
Right.
It's got that feel to it and that hustle. And you get a nice there's a touch of feedback, and then also some note bothering, where you get just single notes which are then sort of asked with, and you sometimes you can't tell the difference between the feedback and the single note. They kind of bleed. And I
Yeah.
do like that. It sounds really great. And then the guitars enter, and it's a lovely sort of motif. Um, and with the exception of the bass, which is really earthy and sounds like he's digging for lugworms, um, the rest of it could easily be something. You're going to hate me saying this, but this could easily be something from U2's mid-80s back catalogue,
No, I'm not gonna
where the
hate that. That
drums.
was, but I liked them. So,
Yeah, same here, same here. But yeah, ever since the iTunes debacle, they've really. Anyway, we won't go into that. So yeah, I mean, some people won't like it, but I really mean it as a compliment because that's when I really like them as well. That sort of, Unforgettable Fire, Joshua Tree sort of era, where you have this lovely atmospheric stuff. I think a lot of it's to do with it, but and then the Edge does his stuff over the top, and this is what was going on here.
yeah.
So some really, really nice soaring notes, right? Which the Edge would have loved. Your man starts singing. He's looking a lot more fresh-faced and floppy-haired than the last outing, so I'm presuming this is a few years prior. Um, but yeah, and I'm reminding of his voice again, and I was like, sort of like impressed with his voice last time. It is individual and it is distinctive, but I think I struggled to connect with it more on this song.
Mm.
Um, and also his delivery, which is impassioned, and I think sometimes with a lot going on in the music, I don't take in the words anyway, as you well know. But so with this, and here's the way he delivers it, only catching odd words. So it's something at the start about rhyme and repeat the first line and keep drinking water.
Hmm.
Anyway, the verse moves on and it goes into the chorus, and the rhythm section really pushed through the chorus, and the drum in particular does a great job. Um, his vocals go even further up. I admire his range, and it made me think of someone like, which you may not be familiar with. There's this guy in this country called Jimmy Somerville, um, and he is quite distinct in a number of ways. And when we're talking early to mid '80s, he came. He no, the Bronski Beat was the first band, and he was definitely out. as a very young gay man.
Hmm.
This little potato head and a voice that was soprano. It was really high,
Wow.
like it never dropped. And it was so distinctive. And the first song, it's called Hometown Boy or something like that, was haunting. But you can only listen to about two or three of his songs at a time, and that's enough because it's so
Hmm.
much. Um, and it kind of reminded me of that in the way it landed with me. Is that I really admire his his voice and everything, but it doesn't quite connect with me, and I wouldn't listen to more than a couple of tracks of his voice. And I don't want to like harp on that, because his voice is definitely great. There's no two ways about it. It's just doesn't quite, sit with me, as it were.
Hmm.
But that's just a thing. Um, so, with that and the way he's impassioned delivering, the chances of discerning the lyrics just flew out the window, which, is not an unusual thing to happen on this channel when I'm
Of
reacting.
course not.
Um, what I like most about this were the two guitars.
Yeah.
Now, we've spoken before on this channel about the sort of twin guitar action, and the best examples being like Verlaine and Lloyd from Television, or the Dream Syndicate with Steve Wynn and either Carl Procida or Jason Victor. Um, and the way they intertwine and act is really clever and amazing. But these are very different. It's definitely the roles of lead and rhythm guitar are clear on this. And I was thinking this as I was writing that Andy will say what bloody make each guitar was and everything, but I don't. But in this song, the rhythm guitar is doing the grunt work, for want of a better word. It's laying down the layer, and the lead is embellishing, and it just sounds great. And on the chorus, um, it's like the rhythm guitar is laying down these sort of platforms, and the song's going from platform to platform, and it's almost like emotional content. It's getting more higher or more important as it's rising. Um, and the lead guitar is helping it soar, and the vocals as well are doing the same thing there. So it has a great effect of making it a big chorus as well. Um, Later on in the song, the lead and the rhythm kind of exchange roles briefly to great effect as well. So they can both very obviously capable of doing whatever.
Sure.
Coming out of the chorus, we get this lovely bit of sort of groove on with the frenetic strumming of the guitars, and it
Hmm.
does sound really cool. And with the drums, it's very muscular and powerful. And you can label several kind of genres to this overall sound of this song. Alternative rock, maybe a bit of post-hardcore in there, and other bits as well. Um, but it just sounds really interesting to me. Um, this is the bit probably it was the most sort of post-hardcore before it then breaks back into that alternative rock, slightly edgy sound with
Hmm.
those really nice licks, and then it goes back into the chorus again. Now, I don't know if I missed it the first time, but this time there's a really nice fill from the drummer as we go through the chorus, and then it kind of wafts into a bridge section. I think he says something about accomplishments are transient, and he repeats it. And at that time, we then treated to some more sort of note wrangling in the left channel in
Hmm.
particular, which could easily have been wrung from the guitar by a Mr. Johnny Greenwood. It's got a bit of that sort of. I've said this before of Oh Brother. It's got a bit of that Radiohead about it, which has then been put through a sort of American filter, so it
Hmm.
doesn't sound so British and artsy and all that and weird. And it's a bit more sort of muscular, and this does that as well to really, really good effect. Um, Now they sort of the musical Iger of the song has been scaled, um, which is indicated by not much nodding of heads and leaning backwards and forwards of the guitarists. We then build once more to the finale, um, where he says, "Do you ever wish you were someone else?"
Hmm.
And there's this huge flourish on the drums, and then the fading of the guitars as it comes out. And it's at that point, even though I'm watching them and describing what they're doing, it dawns on me that, oh, obviously they're playing this live. Because I wasn't even thinking about that. So it was a really good live performance as well. I would say, his vocals aside, which is neither here nor there, it doesn't really matter. I think this is an excellent song, and the guitars totally enchanted me.
Yeah.
But the overall musical performance was excellent. They all shot the whole band. I love the rhythm section as well. I started thinking at the end of like, weird thoughts, which I probably, would row back on. But I was thinking, what would this sound like with a different singer? And I was thinking of extreme, so I was imagining like Nick Cave singing this, or
Mhm.
somebody else like or Bono, and how would it sound? And probably wouldn't sound anywhere near as good either. So
Yeah.
there you go. But yeah, really enjoyed this.
Awesome, man. I'm really glad you like this. I thought you would, and I thought it would be for the reasons that you outlined as well, because as I recall, when we listened to Imaginary Enemy, you seemed you really did like the drumming a lot in that, of course. But the interplay between the guitarists was another huge key moment for you in that performance. So I thought, well, if he liked how those guitars commingled in that track, I'm sure he's going to love watching it and hearing it in this live performance as well. So I'm really glad you liked it, man. It's awesome. I'll do a quick recap of the band, and then kind of move on and kind of focus just on this because, as mentioned, we've covered them before. But yeah, Circa Survive was an American rock band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that formed in 2004. The band consisted of vocalist Anthony Green, guitarist Colin Frangicetto, other guitarist Brendan Ekstrom, bassist Nick Beard, and drummer Steve Clifford. And as mentioned, we previously covered Imaginary Enemy off the band's third album, which was Blue Sky Noise, released in April of 2010. This track, however, precedes Imaginary Enemy, as it features on the band's 2007 sophomore effort, On Letting Go. Released on May 29th, 2007 by Equal Vision Records, the album entered the US Billboard 200 at number 24, selling about 24,000 copies in its first week. Up to July 11th, 2007, it had sold 51,357 copies in the US alone. The album was produced by Brian McTernan and was recorded throughout 2007 at Salad Days Recording Studios here in Baltimore, Maryland. The album's style is similar to its predecessor, though according to music critics, its instrumentation was tighter. The album combines elements of punk rock, and emo, and according to Alternative Press, it evokes an era when hazy lyricism and reckless introspection were prerequisites for legitimacy and timelessness. In 2008, Circa Survive released an On Letting Go B-side called 1000 Witnesses to fans through the charity Invisible Children in an effort to raise money for the cause. In June 2008, they also released the B-side The Most Dangerous Commercials as a charity download to help support the relocation of local music shop Siren Records in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Kerrang, Alternative Press, and AllMusic each rated the album a 4 out of 5 star effort, and AbsolutePunk.net scored it a 90%. Brett Panzer of DrivenFarOff.com scored the album 9 out of 10 and wrote, "The album in its entirety is very well written, with none of the songs on the boring or lackluster side. There are hauntingly beautiful melodies on Letting Go. I'm very impressed with this release, and I would probably call it one of the best records of 2007. Over at Drowned in Sound, writer Mike Haydock reviewed the album and wrote, On Letting Go isn't just a follow-up to Juturna. It's a revelation. It's easily one of the best albums of the year so far, a skyscraping realization of Circa Survive's talent and intelligence. Beautiful, intense, powerful. This is the sound of emo grown up and old, wisdom accrued, adding Radiohead, Muse, Coheed and Cambria, Mew, and Mars Volta. This record blends all of them together and emerges as an individual, borrowing bits of prog and delicate indie and cranking up the volume. Former Seosin vocalists Anthony Green screeches high up in the register, set free like never before, stretching for each note as though his life depends on it. He's too passionate a singer, too fired up to be called angelic, but it's only the brooding, slashing riffs behind him that keep his voice tethered to the earth. So let's jump into these lyrics, which it sounds like you caught a lot of. uh, Move 1 inch at a time. Don't make shit rhyme. Why it be would it be easy to repeat the first line? My mind's not a well. It won't run dry. Just keep drinking water and you'll be all right. This is paralysis, with no time at all to let go. Well, don't call me by my full name, and all of this is temporary. It feels much better to know that you won't feel a thing. Well, I don't talk about it, write it down, but don't ask for help. Well, I can't be honest with even myself. Did you ever wish you were somebody else? Accomplishments are transient. They pull me in unremittingly, just lasting this long. I feel relieved to let repetition save me. Well, don't call me by my full name, and all of this is temporary. It feels much better to know that you won't feel a thing. Well, don't talk about it, write it down. Don't ask for help. Well, it can't be pardon me. Well, I can't be honest with even myself. Did you ever wish you were somebody else? Move 1 inch at a time and you'll be just fine. Move 1 inch at a time and you'll be fine. They pulled me in, but accomplishments are transient. They pulled me in, but accomplishments are transient. Well, don't call me by my full name. And all this is temporary. It just feels much better to know that you won't feel a thing. Well, don't talk about it, write it down, but don't ask for help. Well, I can't be honest with even myself. Did you ever wish you were? Did you ever wish you were? Did you ever wish you were somebody else? So, over at medium.com, Zach K wrote an article devoted to this track, in which he posited the difference between medicine and poison is in the dose. Is essentially a song about struggling to songwrite. It's super meta. And as someone who has been actively struggling to songwrite lately, it's ultimately relatable and compelling. Green opens while clearly struggling to write the very lines we're hearing. Move 1 inch at a time. Don't make shit rhyme. Would it be easy to repeat the first line? I'd like to point out that this stanza rhymes. He indeed does repeat the first line later in the song, too. The song continues, my mind's not a well, it won't run dry. Just keep drinking water and you'll be all right, which is a great example of how fluid Anthony Green's pronoun usage is. This line could easily read, just keep drinking water and I'll be all right. The meaning would be unchanged. We all know that he meant I'll in the first place, but somehow it's just not as good. Fast forward to the second verse, which essentially only says, just lasting this long, I'll feel relieved to let repetition save me. And then we go straight into the second chorus, which is, of course, a repetition of the first. There isn't a single new line for the rest of the song. Also, it's in 3/4 time signature, along with most of the songs on the album, which I think is pretty cool. I normally think of a song in 3 or 6 as a rarity. So to have an album where it's the majority is, well, exceptional in the truest sense of the word. So, there you have it, John. An interesting song about trying to write an interesting song.
Is it a, there's a line in that that said, "Don't call me by my full name." Um, that to me speaks of you usually only get that with authority, you know,
Yeah,
with the system calls you by your first name, your
yeah.
full name. Like they're about to read out the charge in court. or, or the sentence.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
it is interesting. Well, regardless, I'm really glad that you enjoyed this performance, and obviously the track itself. Those guitars commingling together throughout this entire song is, magic. So I'm really, really glad you liked it. And I didn't even stop to think for a second, but you're right. It is like listening to two sides of the Edge's brain play guitar with each other on stage, especially that era that you're alluding to. You could say what you want about U2 then, U2 after that, and U2 now. I think it's hard to argue that Edge is a pretty fabulous guitar player. So I think that these guys would accept that as a wild compliment. So yeah, man, really glad you liked it. Guys out there in the listening audience, please let us know what you thought of this track by Circa Survive. And if there's anything else by them that we should check out, I'll be sure to take it down and have John do that in the future. I'm a pretty big Circa Survive fan, so I know a lot of their stuff, but John is just now coming around to them. And, as long as we're not giving him four or more of them in a row, so he gets, oversaturated in the wild range of Anthony Green, I think we'll be all right. Also, please feel free to shoot any suggestions down in the comments field below. We're always adding them to our list for future Friday episodes, so have at it. Please also like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. Goes a long way to help us here at the channel, but it only takes you a couple clicks, and we really do appreciate it. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.